Some collectors chase hype, others chase history. Today on Pressed, I'm joined by Smitty, a lifelong R&B, jazz, and soul lover who reminds us why classic records still move us in ways modern music can't. From crate digging for Motown gems to rediscovering forgotten artists, we're talking about the timeless side of collecting and what it really means to feel the music. So, welcome back. I love having you on, Smitty. I'm super happy to have you on Pressed talking about vinyl.
Thanks, my man. Appreciate you
Yeah.
having me back. Had
Yeah, of
fun last
course.
time. Had fun
Yeah,
last time.
that's great. Well, I'm glad to have you back on, and I wanna just jump right into it. I wanna know what kinda got you into collecting vinyl?
I may have mentioned this in the last episode, but
Mhm.
my grandfather was a huge jazz fan. So he had
Yeah.
all these jazz albums. I'm talking old stuff. And I just remember sitting around with him listening and looking at the album covers. And um, a lot of the old ones didn't have a lot of liner notes, but they had some. So I was just
Mhm.
looking at those and you know, I was just fascinated because I saw how much he loved these albums, right? And I was like, I want to be like grandpa,
Mhm.
And they called him Smitty too, by the way.
Yeah, okay,
He
that's
was Big
awesome,
Smitty.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so that first, my grandfather loving jazz, listening to albums, but it's something about those liner notes, like I mentioned before, that album cover, especially the gatefolds. You open it up, you see all these
Mm.
big colorful pictures. As a kid, I just fell in love with that. And then reading the liner notes as I got older, I distinctly remember the Michael Jackson Thriller album,
Mhm.
reading those liner notes, the lyrics, reading, seeing the address for the fan club, which I wrote into it multiple times, just stuff like that. It just made it fun for me. So that's really why I got into collecting vinyl.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah,
like having, family wrap you into this music. Some
yeah,
people
man.
almost do it in a rebellion, like they get into music because their family wasn't, but then, it's there's nothing cooler and just more satisfying than
Yeah,
having your family kind of get you into all of this.
yeah.
Um, so what is it about R&B, jazz, soul records? What is it about all this kind of genre of music that really hits different for you?
So, well, firstly, I identify with the artists because most of the ones I grew up listening to were black artists. My
Mhm.
family had all the albums and every album I looked at. Of course, my grandfather he listened to country too, so there was
Yeah,
some white people on some of the album covers, but for the most
sure.
part, the soul, the R&B,
Mhm.
I identified with them, seeing them on Soul Train, the different performances on American Bandstand or whatever they were
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I identified with them, so that was that's why it kind of hits differently for me because I grew up on it.
Mhm.
Also, something about that soul music. It takes me back to this is what I love about music. It takes me back to certain periods of my life. I think it does for most people. It takes you back to
Yeah.
good times, sometimes sad times, but it takes you back to certain periods of your life. So some of these old jazz, soul, R&B records, they take me back to when I was innocent, kid with no bills and all that stuff. So it kind of
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
me back. So it just hits differently for me because of those
Mhm.
reasons. Yeah, man.
And so with more classic music or older music, we talked about this a little bit on the other episode, but, what is it about older stuff? There's a nostalgia for sure, you touched on that, but what is it about
Yeah.
music back in the day, whatever you wanna say, versus, some of the stuff that's coming out now?
Um, I saw somebody else mention this on a video somewhere I saw on social media. But even though there are some good artists now with that soul vibe that I really like, newer artists. I'm not going to take that from them, but
Mhm.
it's a little different. And somebody made this point that it's because a lot of your artists now didn't grow up in church. So a lot of my favorites, Al Green, James Brown, those guys grew up in the church singing in church. And it
Mm,
just, if you've been to a black church, there's something about that soul that's in that music. And
mhm.
when you grow up with that, you put it out there differently than if you didn't. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So I think
Yes.
I think that's one of the main reasons soul music is different now. They didn't grow up in church. And I didn't come up with that. I saw that on the video. But it
Yeah,
made
yeah.
so much sense seeing that. Like,
Mhm.
you know what? That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
being, kind of almost being inspired by other soul artists, maybe it
Exactly.
wasn't enough for them to get
Exactly.
their. Yeah,
Exactly. Something about
yeah.
that church music that really, that's why they call it soul. It just hits your soul, man. It just makes you
Mhm.
feel a certain way, and
Yeah.
you're missing that from a lot of songs and artists now,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's what it is.
Um, let's go back to some vinyl stuff. What have been some of your best, digs, some of your best finds? Maybe talk a little bit about what you do when you step into a record store, or are you doing that anymore? Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
maybe talk a little bit about this.
oh yeah. That's my happy place. I definitely go to the record stores.
Mm,
Not as much as I used to. I've
yeah,
been fortunate. I get a lot of records free now, which is great.
it's
But
amazing.
when I do go to the record stores, I'm beelining straight to the back wall. I'm going to the bargain bins, the
Mm,
$5, the $2 records, because that's where the magic is to me. It's something about those old records. And on top of that, I like to support the smaller mom and pop record shops. And
mm,
from what I from what I've been told, they make more money when you buy the used records as opposed to the newer stuff because the markup is greater on the older ones. So I
yeah.
always beeline back there to the old stuff, and that's where you'll find some classics. I mean, classics for 2, 3, $5.
Hmm.
So that's my main thing. I'll go to the bargain bins and work my way around and see if maybe I'll find something else. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I like to
totally.
do it.
when you're when you're like getting, because you've over a long time, you've accumulated, I'm sure, tons of records, probably
Mm.
hundreds, maybe you're in the thousands, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
um but you have so many records. What, like, do you find that now that the hype has kind of increased and a lot of younger people are getting into record collecting, do you find that it's a lot harder to come by what you're looking for?
So you know what? I thought about this, and the sort of, I guess you could call it, resurgence of vinyl collecting.
Mhm,
Um, it's good and bad to me. So on the good side, I look at it as a lot more people are collecting, so a lot of these companies are repressing some albums that we might not be able to find otherwise.
true.
A lot of albums that I wanted that I couldn't find or were just ridiculously priced. Now
Mhm,
they're repressing them. So I'm able to get them. So that's one of the good things about it. I think one of the bad things about it is I think a lot of people nowadays collect as kind of like because it's kind of cool, it's in.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
they look at it as like a fad. I think I read something last year saying about I can't remember the percentage, but how many people actually own records, like a ton of records, but don't even have a record player. And I just
yeah,
thought that was
crazy.
crazy because,
Yeah.
the aesthetic, people hang them up on the walls and they
Mm,
got the bookcase. You see that all over social media, the aesthetic, the vinyl record collector aesthetic, and
mhm.
they don't really appreciate it. But with all these new collectors, that's jacked the prices up like
Yeah.
crazy. Some of these prices are ridiculous, and I refuse I refuse to pay them.
Yeah.
So there's a good and a bad to it. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're, like, even aside from, like, really rare pressings getting, like, really expensive, I'm sure the bargain bins just aren't the same either, like,
No,
in the sense that, like, you're probably looking at $10 now or
yeah,
$5 for a
seriously,
bargain. Yeah.
seriously, and it's crazy just watching the prices climb over the years. Like I said, I've been
Mhm.
collecting since I was young, so
Mhm.
just watching the price climb is like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have been some of just, like, the craziest finds that you've ever had?
So I did a video on this on my page, Smitty Soul Shack. So I have m- songs in the key of life, 1976, Stevie Wonder. Anybody that has seen my videos know that's the greatest album ever.
Mhm.
I have multiple copies. I found an original pressing with both the albums, the albums plus the 45.
Mm.
But one of the great things about buying old records, sometime on the jackets, you'll find handwritten notes or dates and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I found a copy of Keys of Life, and there was a note in there, and it was handwritten from a guy named Ronnie, and it was to a lady named Melba. And he wrote this really nice note in there. You could tell they were friends or whatever. A really nice note. And I made this video, and I don't know if you're familiar with um, uh, iconic soul R&B artist and Broadway performer Melba Moore.
Mhm.
Her and she actually commented on my post and
Oh,
said
wow.
it said might be me or something. I can't remember her exact words. So I messaged her like, "Is this really you?" She was like, "I don't know." And she was kind of vague about it. She was like, at that time, she had starred in a Broadway musical, the original Broadway play Hair, with this guy named Ronnie Dyson. And again, it was to Melba from Ronnie. And she was
Mhm.
like, I was friends with Ronnie Dyson and back in the day. So I started doing my research and like this guy was amazing. He passed away at a young age, but I just thought that was so cool that Melba Moore reached out to me saying she never verified it, but she never
Yeah,
said it was her. You know, she
yeah,
never said it wasn't her, but just just that I think that was just so cool to find that note and Melba Moore
yeah,
uh being in inbox, being my DMs, going back and forth with
yeah.
a soul legend like that. So I still
That's
don't know
so
if it was
cool.
her or Ronnie, but it could be.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the coincidence seems a little bit too like
That's wild, man. That's
wild.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so wild. That's really cool. That's so cool. What would you say to somebody like that? Maybe what you referenced to somebody that is collecting vinyl, but they don't even have a record player. So some of these younger people that are coming into this, what would be maybe just your 2 cents? Maybe trying to get them further into it, maybe into some cooler music, maybe into some older music.
You know, my big thing is if you've got the records, just give it a try. Just try to listen to it. It may not be your typical, genre you like to listen to, and you might have just got it because it was cool to have. Just
Mhm,
give it a try. You'd be surprised. Just have an open mind. You'd be surprised what you like. Also, if you love music, you'll you'll learn to appreciate the musicianship in some of these records, these older artists, because everybody actually played instruments back then. So,
mhm.
give it a try, listen to it, and maybe you'll get a better appreciation. And yeah, and also broaden your horizon as far as what you like to listen to. I've been working on that. I like everything, but I
Mhm,
still stay in my lane, my R&B, my soul, my hip hop, my jazz. But
mhm.
I've been trying to get into a lot of different things. So yeah, broaden your horizon a little bit. Get a record player first of all. Play the records.
Yeah, yeah, play them.
Mm.
That's
Play the
that's the
records.
very first step.
That's what they're
Very
for.
first step. Well, just out of my own curiosity, what are some genres you're trying to stretch yourself into? Okay.
Acid jazz, which I never really got into. I was more of a uh, purist when it came to jazz, but I've been kind of
Mhm,
trying to broaden my horizon into jazz. So
mhm.
acid jazz, I'm starting to like, and even some of the
Okay.
newer jazz, getting into. But that's one of the main ones. Also, there's some Japanese. I don't know if you've heard Japanese soul music.
No, I haven't. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's not a huge genre. I found some on YouTube, and I thought it was
Mhm.
interesting. It's pretty good.
Interesting.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
one thing, speaking of Japanese music, what like because we talked really briefly on previous episode just about how punk and jazz have a lot of similarities, just in the sense of rebellion and how they started and
Yeah,
what they
exactly,
talked about. But there's
exactly.
actually a genre called Japanese jazz punk, and I don't know. I feel like you should give it a try.
That is funny you said that. I just saw a video on Instagram yesterday about this exact same thing. Some
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
talking about it, and I bookmarked it because I was like, "I'm gonna give this a try." So,
yeah,
that's funny you said that.
yeah, yeah. You
I'm gonna
should.
check it I'm gonna check it out. Yeah. I'd never
I
heard
haven't
of it
checked it
until
out, but
yesterday.
yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah, give it a
Yeah.
try. I'm sure. I feel like maybe you'll like it. I don't know. Maybe there'll be too much punk influence, but
Yeah,
who knows? Who knows?
yeah. Won't know
Do
until
you
you
have
try.
any other like tips or tricks or anything about vinyl that you would maybe give to a younger collector?
Um, Not really, nothing I haven't said already. Like, just appreciate the music. When you're listening to it, just picture these artists that actually, spending hours in the studios actually playing these live instruments.
Mhm.
Just have an appreciation for what they put into it. It's more than just pushing a button on a machine like a lot of
Yeah.
people do today. So yeah, just learn to appreciate the music, and you'll probably enjoy it more, knowing
Mm.
what went into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. And that I think that's the beauty of vinyl is that you kind of are forced to appreciate it in the sense that you have to put it on, you have to flip it when it's done. Like, you know what I mean?
exactly,
Like there is a little bit of more intentionality to it than just, ripping out a playlist on Spotify or something like
exactly.
that. Um, awesome. Well, let's move on to some of these quick fire questions.
Okay.
I'm always so interested in these, but let's start with what the first vinyl you ever bought was.
First vinyl I ever got with my own money was a jazz album. It was a record released in 1959. Dave Brubeck Quartet. Time Out. First one I ever bought. I think I was 11, right around that age. First one I
Wow.
ever got with my own
Yeah.
money.
And what inspired you to get that particular one?
Because my grandfather had it, and I love that song, Take
Mm,
5,
mhm.
and, I mean, the whole album was great, but that song was just so catchy to me, and I loved it. So I was like, "Oh, I saw it, and I had to have it.
You had to have it.
Had to
Yeah,
have it."
that's amazing.
Yeah.
What about the most played record you have?
I feel like a broken record because every time I go on a podcast, I say this, but "Songs in the Key of Life" by Stevie
Yeah,
Wonder, yeah, I gotta stick with what I love.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever played a record out? This is, like, totally off the cuff, but, like, have you ever ruined a record because 'cause you've played it too much?
Yeah, I have actually. My first copy of Off the Wall, which
Okay.
was I got it well after the album came out. Of course, I was young. I
Mm,
didn't have it back then, but I got it in my, my early teen years. I got it, and yeah, I literally wore that out. I
wow.
wore it out to where it would just sounded like crap. It did. I cleaned it. I kept it, and then I didn't really take care of records like I should, so that
Sure.
played a part in it. So yeah, but I
Mhm.
wore that one out. Wore it
How
out.
many how many spins do you think it took to
Oh,
wear it out?
I wouldn't even begin to know where to guess at. Hundreds, hundreds,
Hundreds.
hundreds.
Man,
Oh, for
that's
sure,
amazing.
hundreds.
Yeah, I love that. What about, like, a desert island pick for a record?
Bet you can't guess what I'm gonna say. Songs in the Cube Life, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it. It's two full albums of 45 minutes. Yeah, that's a lot of music.
it
A
is a
lot
lot
of
of music.
great music. It takes you through every emotion you could think of.
Mm,
Yeah, so yeah, that's my one. That is my
mhm.
album.
I don't know what, desert island we're going to that has a record player, but, you know.
Right.
What about, a dream pressing or, a lot of people in the record kinda collecting sphere call this a grail. What's something that
Dream
you're
Festival.
searching for?
I something that I would love to for them to press. I doubt if they ever will. And I've thought about this, and it's crazy because I've thought about this before this past week when we lost D'Angelo. But it's I would love to see a pressing of the full studio sessions of the recording of that album in the Electric Lady Studios in New York,
Mm,
which
mhm.
if you don't know, if Jimi Hendrix, that was his studio.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a full session. Just his musicianship is just amazing. He plays so many instruments. He had, a lot of guests playing on that album.
mm,
Just and I imagine like hearing Questlove, his commentary on the
mhm.
album. I think that would be super dope. And
Yes.
um yeah, I just think that would be so dope to have that all the rehearsals, no cuts, just everything. Just
Yeah.
the whole recording process on vinyl.
Mhm.
I can
That
imagine
would be
that.
really
But yeah,
cool.
D'Angelo Voodoo,
Mhm. That would be
studio
really cool.
sessions.
Yeah, yeah. What about an artist you think maybe deserves a little bit more love?
Um So I don't know if you're familiar with Raphael Sadiq. He's a member of the Tony, the R&B group Tony.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that guy has he single-handedly to me kept soul music alive, especially like during the 90s when
Mm,
R&B was super big. He did R&B, but the soul was still in his music. And even to this day, I just don't think he gets enough credit for his writing, his production, um, his musicianship as far as playing instruments. I don't think he gets enough love. I mean, people that know,
mm,
but I think he
yeah,
should be more widely recognized and appreciated. He's on
yeah.
tour right now, and I'm sad I missed the tour. It was a one man show basically, and I'm sad I missed the
Mm,
tour. But yeah, Raphael Sadiq for sure.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll have to I
yeah,
know Tony, but,
yeah,
not familiar with his solo stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome. Well, this has been a short but sweet
Yeah.
episode. I'm super happy to have you back on again,
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Smitty
it.
from Smitty Soul Shack. Go check him out. You've got a bunch of great content. You even got a podcast too. Remind me of the name of the podcast that you and
So
your
yeah,
friend.
so I do a podcast with my buddy Tony. It's called "Music Is the Glue" because
Yes.
music is the glue that keeps us all
Yeah.
together. With all
Yeah.
the other bull crap going on, you can always count on music. But yeah, check us out on anywhere you get your podcast and on YouTube. Music is the glue, and check out Smitty Soul Shack on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah. Do it. Do
Soon
it.
to be on
Lots of great
YouTube.
content.
Yeah, yeah,
Lots of great content there. So yeah,
yeah.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Um,
you, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and for anybody listening out there, here's a fun question: what's a classic record that still gives you chills every time you play it? So drop that in the comments, and we'll see you next time on Press with another guest.